Hi, I am Not-a-witchr and I am a video game addict.
Why so cheerful, dude?
Hi, I am Not-a-witchr and I am a video game addict.
What are we even doing here?
I've been like that since childhood, when I spent all my free time and money in the local arcade. My parents got me my first gaming console when I was 8 and my first PC when I was 14. This has prevented me from having friends, engaging in social activities that my peers were participating in, and also limited my academic results to slightly above average in school and college. It affected my relationships, my marriage, my work, and the only thing that actually helped me to get it under control was when f***ing Russians invaded my country. Yeah, you try to care about some RPGs when there's a high chance that you'll be launching some RPGs tomorrow, and without any saves. Okay, that's not the whole story. It would be a really short and stupid video if it was so. Like, giving birth right after having sex, which is a terrible metaphor, and now I can't get it out of my head. But now, when I've hooked you so masterfully, why not listen to what I'm actually trying to tell, eh? Imagine a natural nerd, a second child from a not wealthy family, a socially shy, physically underdeveloped and simply lazy boy with no obvious talents and a deep dislike of any competitive activity. I had no ambitions as a kid and I barely have them now. People didn't know about dopamine back then. There was no internet, but if there was, some would say that I had a really hard time being motivated through gratifying accomplishments. And I repeat, there was even no internet, so I cannot blame everything on the social media. The only social media that we had was graffiti in the bathrooms. But we did have arcades, and that was the beginning of my downfall. Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, Earthworm Jim, Disney's Aladdin. These are the ones I still remember, and they all have a special place in my heart. At that point in my life, they were basically the only interesting things that existed for me. Well, there was also some cartoons, of course, but even then I already realized the superiority of video games as a form of media. Just kidding, I actually didn't. Not helping was the fact that the arcade was located in the park just 5-minute walk from my house. Well, maybe 10 minutes, my legs were much shorter back then. I don't remember how and why, but my parents agreed to buy me a gaming console. It was an 8-bit Nintendo, and just recently I realized, like literally while making this video, I realized that it was probably done so I wouldn't spend all my time and money in the arcade and would just play at home. Like, did it increase my academic results and physical activity? That was pure crack for my 8-year-old brain. Like heroin through a color TV screen. 2 years earlier, I received a chess set on my birthday. Did I become a good chess player? No, I didn't. Chess is so boring when you know that video games exist. And then my older brother got Sega Genesis as a gift for getting into college, and I was the only one doing all the playing while he was away. Did you know that they even had strategies on Sega Genesis? Yeah, Dune: The Battle for Arrakis was my first strategy, and on a 16-bit console. But I digress. At that time, my addiction was already fully developed and blooming. I basically had no other interests. My mom tried to limit my gaming time by hiding the controllers from me. Of course, in this situation, I behaved as a mature and rational kid. Whenever I would be alone at home, I would find the controllers, play and return them to the hiding place right before my mom got home. And when she eventually caught me, the hiding place changed. But I still found them, so the cycle continued. I had friends, but when I think about it now, I feel like almost all that we had in common was playing video games at home. Thankfully, I managed to do okay in school, but I didn't really care about that. It was boring, and I never really did more than enough to receive an okay grade. Except for the physical education. Man, I was bad at physical education. But then two things happened. Puberty and my first PC, which was bought for educational purposes, of course. Spoiler alert, I haven't used my computer for educational purposes. Mainly because it had no internet access, and it had games. And so it was really hard for me to find time and motivation for dating. Don't get me wrong, I had all the desires of a 14-year-old, and also I had Heroes of Might and Magic 3 at home, so...
Thank all the gods we still haven't had the internet at home then. Because let me tell you, a boy like me should not have access to all the pictures and videos in the internet. I mean, I've already had one addiction, even though I haven't realized it yet. To me, it felt pretty natural.
I remember that one of the best Christmas Eves in my life was when I spent all night playing Might and Magic 7 alone in my room. Back then I felt like a game would take my 100% attention, and I was just happy when I played. Thanks to my mom, I had an external limit. I couldn't spend all evenings just playing games because she would be really upset and mad at me for not being a normal kid and having friends, normal hobbies like sports, I guess. And I didn't like that.
What it really did is I had no chance to develop my own internal mechanisms to deal with my addiction. And I didn't have a desire to do that. I mean, everything worked okay for me, or at least it felt okay. I had a couple of buddies, I went on some dates, I even got into a college somehow. Not sure how I managed to do that.
Actually, I had a mechanism that helped me limit my gaming time. It's called no money. Games came on CDs back then, and the more CDs a game came on, the more expensive it was. Looking at you, Baldur's Gate on 5 CDs. So, if I managed to buy a new game, I had to play it even if I didn't really like the game. And I can't play a game forever, can you? Well, some people can. I need new games.
I always thought that this hobby is not the worst way I could have spent my time in teenage years while most of my peers was trying to get some vodka, get drunk and get in trouble. There was a vague feeling that I was missing something in life, which faded completely when later me and my buddy got a small bottle of vodka and consumed it one fine evening. It was horrible. I've wrenched my guts inside out all night, and I had a massive hangover that lasted 24 hours. I mean, why would anybody do that to themselves?
So I decided that I didn't want any alcohol in my life. My body is a temple, full of deadly traps, horrible monsters and hidden treasures. No, that doesn't sound right.
Another fact about me, my father was an alcoholic. So statistically, there was a chance that if I ever got into drinking, I would also become one eventually. So I kinda dodged a liver failure, maybe? Bet you haven't thought about that benefit of gaming addiction, eh?
But the most important part of my story happened in college. I met a girl who was not only much smarter, successful and way better looking than me, but also somehow she was interested in me. I know, right? And we moved in together, and we were together all the time, like 24/7, and I didn't play anything. I didn't even had my computer at our place for like 4 months. Naturally, I thought about introducing her to my favorite hobby, but she kinda thought that gaming is for stupid little boys who talk shit to each other while playing shooters in computer clubs, while someone is trying to find material for a school project right next to them. Yeah, not a good first impression.
I was naturally offended by her opinion as someone who saw themselves as an intellectual gamer, preferring strategies, RPGs, and, well, an occasional shooter or two. So I set out to change her mind and told her about my latest favorite game, Icewind Dale 2.
A fantasy world filled with adventure and magic where you can create your own party of heroes, detailing everything down to their hair and skin color. Luckily for me, she was into fantasy books and also she was really open to try the stuff that I liked. But, funny thing, she didn't really know how modern games looked back then, and after I described the game to her, she imagined something like this. And later, when I showed her the game, it looked like this. Yeah, you could say that she was a bit disappointed. But nonetheless, it grew on her, and eventually she really amazed me by finishing the game with a party of 3 identical-looking elven druids, which I didn't think was possible, because druids kinda sucked in the older editions of D&D, and thus began the corruption of my best friend by me.
Before we moved in together, she was a perfect student with the most strict self-discipline and the brightest future ahead of her. And almost no personal life. Hanging out with me made her much more laid-back kind of a person. I mean, don't get me wrong, she still finished college as one of the best students that year, but at least now she also knew that you could be successful and have some fun in the free time.
But yeah, she was not actually happy about us playing games when we had to study. It was then that I realized I had kind of an addict behavior concerning games. Having a partner made me happy that I could share my favorite pastime with someone who understood the joy of a good immersive game. But at the same time, my wife, we got married, did not have the same addiction as me, and our gaming preferences were always slightly different. I wanted a new game when she just got good at the old one and wanted to play that game, but we had so little space on our hard disk drive and such a small budget for hobbies. And also I wanted an upgrade every now and then to play newer games with fancier graphics. And she was getting upset with me, and I promised to quit gaming at all, several times.
You know what does not help with any addiction? Being poor. I mean, yes, you might argue that rich people don't have this natural limitation to their depravities. And yes, it was me just 5 minutes ago who told you that you can't buy any games if you don't have any money, yay! But what some people don't realize is when you can't get something that you really want, it changes you. It eats you from the inside, and you spend a lot of time and energy just fantasizing about what exactly you will do when you get your hands on it eventually. And it is not healthy. Like, you don't treat any addiction by simply going cold turkey, right? I did realize that it kinda was not great that I had no real interest or any passion in anything except gaming. I had a great job at a big company as a sales representative. The office was in another city and my manager was rarely around, so I had to self-organize. And well, let's say there was more than one occasion when I stayed at home gaming instead of actually doing my job.
Several years of that and my neglect have caught up on me, so I got fired. Not proud of that. It was a period of World of Warcraft and Lord of the Rings Online for me and my wife.
See? I even mark the periods of my life by remembering which games I played at the time. There's no hope for me. But you still can save yourself. Just kidding, you actually can't.
You see, if you watch this, then you're probably not doing it out of just some academic interest. You have an addiction, and there's no way back from that. You can't just decide to be a normal person with normal interests, like football or politics. But at the same time, do not lose all hope yet. Having an addiction is like having diabetes. It forces you to be a better version of yourself, or you will have real and serious consequences. Other people are free to procrastinate with living their lives, but if an addict don't get their shit together, they won't have a life worth talking about.
But again, as in my example with diabetes, if you do get your shit together, you will live better and healthier lives than any of those lucky non-addicts.
People with diabetes are not forbidden to eat chocolate or cake or anything sweet. They just have to be conscious about it and do not let it raise their blood sugar level significantly. Like, do some exercise, adjust your insulin dosage, keep your body weight stable, and you'll live longer than any normie who eats only some shitty fast food 6 times a day. It's like a car with manual transmission. Yeah, it takes some time to get used to after automatic, says someone who has never in his life driven an automatic transmission car. But ask yourself this, do professional racing cars have automatic or manual transmissions? Actually, it's kinda both, so they do sometimes. But you get what I mean. It's the same with gaming. Video games can be a comforting refuge at your bad times, or an amazing and fulfilling experience at your good times. So you should play games.
Wait. How did we get to life coaching when I haven't even told you the actual constructive part of my story? I will be quick, this video is already too long. We decided to live in the woods. I mean, we really did move into an old little cabin at the edge of an actual forest. Now, I can play games and communicate with nature at the same time just by opening the window. It was our dream.
But really, the first couple of years were a nightmare. There was no heating system, no centralized plumbing, and the electricity was so bad that my PC was spontaneously restarting when I played. It took a long time to make this place livable, and in that time I had my priorities shifted a bit. You don't worry about your gaming time when you are faced with freezing winters. You have to fix the basics. You know, like the Maslow pyramid, which is actually not a pyramid because the idea was twisted by the marketers, but that's not important. You have your basic needs, like food, shelter, and safety. And then you have other categories of needs, including gaming. Of course, I didn't abandon games even at the hardest times, but I started to develop this kind of structure of what I do with my time. First, I do my job to get money. Then, I improve our life a bit, doing maintenance or upgrading our living space, building something, and then I have some time left for entertainment, like gaming or watching Netflix if I felt too tired from the first 2 parts. And every day I did something useful to feel like I deserved some playing time. I made a motivation out of it. Like when you train a pig, they are very food motivated, and they can play video games. Am I saying that I'm like a pig? Yes I am. And in some time it started to work for me. Now I simply cannot wake up and just sit around playing a game. I feel like I need to do something useful, something lasting. From the other hand, when I have a couple of hours and I can play what I want, I appreciate it so much more than when I had all the time in the world, but still wasn't satisfied completely at times. Like eating chocolate non-stop till you get sick. And what's funny, all my life before I've never did any simple work with my hands. I was raised with the idea that I will have a white-collar job in the big city. My mom was so shocked when we moved to the woods. Of course, it really helps when you do stuff for yourself, the way you want and by your own design. I found that many projects in real life were similar to gaming concepts for me, like terraforming, crafting, resource gathering. It all made hard stuff more understandable subconsciously when I look at it from a gamer perspective. I took a lot from strategies, managing my resources, organizing my processes. Many things I took from RPGs, the idea of story quests and side quests, skill development progression, specialization of roles in a party, meaning me and my wife. Many things I now only see through my gaming experiences. Shooters, I don't think that they were that useful for me in life. I'm not a fan of hunting or guns. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have an office job now with a nice predictable schedule, 9 to 6, no work on weekends. Yes, 9 to 6 with a lunch break. You think all the world works 9 to 5? I wish. This kind of job lets me have a life when I'm at home. And a healthy routine is very important, and not only for those of us with any kind of addiction. And sleep for 7 to 8 hours a day. I stopped playing till 1 AM and feeling sleepy the day after. Don't do that to yourself. Also, because of that, now I feel better when I play. Isn't that cool? Life was going okay for me. I was getting older and even started to think about my own YouTube channel where I would share my ideas about games and fantasy and stuff. Because now I wanted not only to play games but also talk about them. And not only to my wife as before, but to some distant people on the internet. Weird, right? And then fucking Russia invaded Ukraine. It was horrible. It still is, but that first year when we literally didn't know will we live or die, I cannot describe that with words that YouTube allows.
Now we still don't know that, because any day, any missile can just fly by and explode and destroy everything that we have built for ourselves here. Or I could be recruited into the army any day and just tossed at the front lines, also possible. But we still live here, at the brink of madness and despair, and if you don't think too hard about it, everything kinda seems manageable.
And yeah, now even gaming cannot provide enough escapism to cope with this cursed situation. I do still play games whenever I have time and energy, and often it's even fun. Sometimes I feel like games are the only thing that provides some light in this darkness. Other days I'm full of hope and optimism.
Last year I started this channel, and I thank all of you who watch this. It helps me in several ways. I noticed that I have kinda passion to making these little silly videos, similar to that I feel when gaming. It really motivates me. It helps me with my English. It's really nice to read your comments, encouraging, funny, or even a little weird. Really, thank you guys. Thank you for everything. So, to make some sort of key points from all of this.
If you have a video gaming addiction, don't try to suppress it by going cold turkey. It won't work if you don't fill your life with something that you feel similarly passionate about, like sex or drugs. Just kidding, don't do drugs, please. Find someone to share your gaming with, a friend, a partner. Do not be alone with your games. A girlfriend or a boyfriend who is also a gamer like you, just perfect. Try making parts of your life feel like a game. Some things could be sort of like achievements or even level ups. This way the regular life will feel more interesting. Figure out a nice routine and take care of your health. An altogether good and wholesome advice, right? Seriously, do not live in a war zone, and do not start a war if it depends on you. It is not a good way to combat your addiction. I know the thumbnail lied to you. Surprise! Is it your first time on YouTube? Don't listen to me, find your own way. You are unique and beautiful. Well, you definitely are unique.
Well, I hope it was at least entertaining, if not really helpful. Thank you for watching this. I am still Not-a-witchr, and as always, take care and farewell.